Welcome to Without the Beatles Super Hard Quiz. We've got 20 questions with 15 seconds to answer. Get those pen and papers ready. Here we go. Are you ready? Okay, question number 1. What was the catalogue number of the first Beatles single on Apple? Which was Hey Jude, of course, part of their box set Our First Four, along with a single by Jackie Lomax, Mary Hopkins and the Black Dyke Mills Band. What was the catalogue number? It was R5722. Everyone should know that. Anyway, question 2. What make was Ringo's first car? Ecologically unsound time, so no doubt it wasn't unleaded. I think he bought it from Johnny Hutchinson, the drummer with the Silver Beatles. It was a standard Vanguard, that classic. Number 3. Who was credited as the writer of Peter and Gordon's Single Woman? I'll give you a clue, it's the pseudonym. It was Bernard Webb, also known as Paul McCartney. Number 4. What was the name of the harpist on She's Leaving Home? She wasn't always complimentary in later years about the experience. And the answer is Sheila Bromberg. Number 5. Which gallery hosted Yoko Ono's first solo exhibition in 1966? This, of course, had a major impact on the history of the Beatles, professionally and personally. It was, of course, the Indica Gallery. Number 6. Which Beatle was the first to buy an Epiphone Casino guitar in 1964? That's the cheaper version of a Gibson 335 made by Gibson's sister company Epiphone. Cheap for the time, but a classic. It was, of course, Paul McCartney. George and John bought theirs later. Number 7. What was the name of the store on Oxford Street, London, where George bought his first sitar in 1965? This was after seeing sitars being played in a comedy scene in the movie Help. Indiacroft. Number 8. Who was the only Beatle never to live in 34 Montague Square, Mayfair, London? Jimi Hendrix also lived there for a time. And the answer is, of course, George Harrison. Paul leased it for a short time from Ringo, and then John and Yoko lived there. Number 9. What was the first UK Beatles single to be released in stereo? And I'll give you a clue, it was quite late on in the catalogue. The Ballad of John and Yoko. Number 10. Which painter inspired McCartney's choice of fruit for the Apple label? It was, of course, Rennie Magritte. Number 11. What did George name his psychedelic painted Fender Stratocaster guitar? Him and Patty Boyd painted it up one night. He used to be a sonic blue Fender Stratocaster, but then got covered in paint. The answer is, of course, Rocky. Number 12. Which photographer took the photos used on the Abbey Road cover? They didn't take many, did they, on that morning? Based on a sketch by Paul McCartney for what the design should look like. The answer is Ian Stewart Macmillan. Number 13. Which studio did the Beatles use to record I Want You, She's So Heavy, Hey Jude and Dear Prudence? It was also used a lot by Bowie and Elton in the 70s. Anti-Rex, I think. It was, of course, Trident Studios in Soho, London. Number 14. What Steve Miller track did McCartney drum on after an argument with the other Beatles in 1969? I think he played guitar on it as well. It was My Dark Hour, ironically. Number 15. What Indian town did George immortalise in song, but it didn't first appear until the anthology TV series, and a version ended up on the remaster of All Things Must Pass? Dehradun, which is quite near Rishikesh. 16. Which Beatle album did Paul McCartney become convinced was out of tune all the way through? He said recently that he asked the other Beatles to listen to the whole thing again to see if he was going mad, and they told him he was. The answer is Revolver. Number 17. What American popular song did the Beatles busk with comedians Eric and Ernie on TV in 1963's ATV show Two of a Kind? This also appeared on the anthology albums Moonlight Bay, or On Moonlight Bay as it's sometimes known. Number 18. What was the first track recorded for the Rubber Soul album? Not one of my favourite John songs. Whoops, clue. It was Run For Your Life. Okay, number 19. Full maiden name, please, of the woman who taught George Martin clarinet, Paul McCartney recorder, and who also happened to be mother to Jane and Peter Asher. That was Margaret Augusta Elliott. Number 20. What were the only two Beatles singles to get to number 4 in the UK singles chart as their highest position? That was Come Together Something in 1969 and Real Love in 1996. So how did you do? Leave your scores in the comments below. It was quite hard. There are other easier quizzes we're going to do that you will be able to link to. And of course, these are done as part of the joyousness that is the Without the Beatles podcast, where we have famous people talking about the impact the Beatles had on them. It's available on all platforms. The first season is over and done with interviews with Terry Gilliam, Creme, Lemmy, Mary Quant, Steve and Zandt. Season 2 is about to kick off in January.